Hi, I'm Jim Circlin with Paramount Pool and Spa Systems. I'm the Technical Support Manager, and today we're going to talk about starting up the Paralevel automatic water fill for your swimming pool. If you are doing a new Paralevel startup or starting up a Paralevel after winterizing, check and make sure the water feed is off. Remove the two pressure test winterizing caps in the bottom of the unit, saving them for winterizing if needed. Turn on the water for a short time and blow out the line. Replace the winterizing pressure test plugs with the retainer nut and retainer ring inside and the flow plug with the 1/4 inch hole on the top. The retainer ring, which goes into the canister nut, must have the raised center facing up. When putting in the retainer nut, make sure it is hand tight. If the float assembly has not been adjusted prior to winterizing or on a new install, turn the float assembly until it is halfway up the stem. Put a small amount of silicone lube on the O-ring at the bottom of the float assembly and insert the bottom into the center hole of the retainer nut ring. Wiggle it and it should drop down a little bit when centered. Push down on the top of the float assembly and turn clockwise until it stops. To adjust the float assembly to the desired water level, turn the float clockwise to raise the water level and counterclockwise to lower the water level. Note, each complete 360-degree turn of the float is equal to 1/4 of an inch in water level up or down. Troubleshooting. If the float assembly does not turn off, then 1. Either the yellow O-ring at the bottom has slipped out of the groove. The remedy for this is to reset the O-ring in the groove and use a little bit of lube. The rubber seat at the top of the float assembly is bad. The remedy for this is to replace the float assembly. 3. There's debris in the freshwater line and it has gotten in the seat at the top where it seals off. The remedy for this is to replace the float assembly. 4. The float has water in it. The remedy for this is to replace the float. 5. If the water pressure is not high enough, the remedy is to make sure that the valve on the water line is completely open and you must have at least 45 pounds per square inch. And 6. The float assembly has the float screwed all the way to the top. The remedy of this is to turn the float down 1 turn. If the float assembly fills up with water and shuts off but the pool is still low, check the float adjustment and raise it by turning clockwise if necessary. Check to make sure that the small flow plug with the hole on the top is in place and that the hole is clear of debris. On occasion, a higher water level may be desired than the Paralevel float assembly can be adjusted to. If this is the case, a 1-inch extension is available. The Paralevel extension riser includes 2 pieces, a 1-inch extension riser and a 1-inch extension. Note, this extension raises the float assembly and you must have enough clearance under the deck lid for it to clear the new float assembly height. Step 1. Turn off the water to the Paralevel. Remove the float assembly by pushing down on the top and turning it counterclockwise. Remove the plastic retainer nut in the bottom of the Paralevel housing. The optional PV3 nozzle removal tool can be used to remove and reinstall this nut. Step 2. Screw the retainer nut to the 1-inch extension housing and hand tighten. Step 3. Apply a small amount of silicone lube to the yellow O-ring on the 1-inch extension and insert this piece into the Paralevel housing with the O-ring side down. Step 4. Screw the retainer nut and the 1-inch extension housing assembly tightly back into the bottom of the Paralevel. If more than 1 inch is needed of rise, a second extension can be used between the retainer nut and the first extension and extension housing. Step 5. Place a small amount of silicone lube on the Paralevel float assembly, yellow O-ring, and carefully insert it into the unit, moving it around a little until you feel the end drop slightly into the center of the retaining nut. Push down and turn clockwise to lock in place. Adjust the float as is needed. If you have any questions about starting up your Paralevel, please contact Paramount. This has been Jim Cirkland with Paramount Pool and Spa Systems. Thank you very much.